Ball with the Evangelical Environmental Network, and Chris Wright and I are here at Windsor Castle for a conference, and I wanted to share with you and have Chris share with you some of what his ministry does, and then a little bit about the Cape Town commitment. But Chris, first just tell us what does the Langham organization, Langham Partnership, right? Tell a little bit about that.
Well, the Langham Partnership International was founded by John Stott. It's a ministry which is concerned for the growth of the church in the majority world. We're concerned that the church is growing evangelistically very fast around the world, but not often growing with depth of discipleship and training. So we have three ministries. One is providing funds for people to do PhDs and then return and teach in seminary to train pastors. That's Langham Scholars. Second is Langham Literature, which is providing books for pastors in seminaries, and also encouraging evangelical writers and publishing houses. And the third is Langham Preaching, which is fostering movements for biblical preaching and encouraging and training pastors at grassroots level. In the United States, it's known at the moment as John Stott Ministries, JSM, but that is a branch of the Langham Partnership International.
Okay, and can you tell a brief history for folks of the Lausanne movement that John Stott and Billy Graham founded in 1974?
Okay, well, it was in 1974 that Billy Graham called together leaders of mission organizations around the world for what was called the Lausanne Congress on World Evangelization, and it was held in Lausanne in Switzerland, where the name comes from. That then generated a movement called the Lausanne Committee on World Evangelization, in which it kind of is a forum to bring together people to think, to strategize, to research, to publish in a whole range of areas of Christian mission. Out of Lausanne 74, I think mainly came an awareness on the one hand of unevangelized people groups, the number of people in the world who are still unreached with the gospel, and on the other hand the necessity of holding together evangelism and social action and realizing that mission included both. So then in 1989 there was the second Lausanne Congress in Manila, and then during the 90s Lausanne went somewhat dormant, not a lot was happening, and in the 2000s it revived mainly through the work and ministry of Doug Birdsall, who became the executive chairman. And so then they began to feel, well, should we hold a third Lausanne Congress? And so they did in Cape Town in October 2010. And so the third Lausanne Congress brought together close to 5,000 people from some 200 countries from all over the world, representing the world church. So that was an amazing event, and it produced a document which is known as the Cape Town Commitment, which is available on the Lausanne website, simply lausanne.org.
And tell a little bit about what your role was with the Cape Town Commitment.
Well, I had been the chairman of the theology working group for Lausanne for the previous 5 years. So we had done some work on looking at the Lausanne slogan, which is the whole church taking the whole gospel to the whole world. And so we asked, what do those words mean? What is a holistic understanding of the gospel and the world and the church? And then for Cape Town itself, I was invited, initially very reluctantly, but I agreed to do it, to be the chair of this statement working group. And there were 8 of us, 6 men, 2 women from every continent, and we were involved as a listening group to respond to the Congress, to hear what was being said, to receive pages and pages of documents and of transcripts and of bullet points from many of the speakers and those who did the workshops and the dialogue sessions, and then to try to create a document which would somehow capture, on the one hand, the Lausanne Confession of Faith, a sense of this is what we believe, this is our commitment to the Lord and to mission. And secondly, a call to action, a sense of what is God saying to the church at Cape Town, which we need to hear in all the different areas that the church is involved in. So that's what it was. And my role basically was to hold that group together and eventually also to edit and create the document which we've got.
Great. And this document, there seems to be a new emphasis, a new part of the message in the Cape Town Commitment in terms of creation care and climate change and those types of concerns. Can you just speak briefly to that?
Yeah, I think that's a way in which Cape Town has moved beyond Lausanne and Manila in a number of ways. I think there are new issues in there that are included, for example, the disabled and migrants. There are a number of ways in which it has taken into account the reality of today's world in the early 21st century. But I think what the first Lausanne did was to bring together evangelism and social action, and to say we need to realize that holistic mission includes the whole needs of human beings, spiritual, physical, social, and everything. And what Cape Town, I think, has done is to recognize there is a third element of that which was missing, which is creation. We live in God's earth. And so the Cape Town commitment is saying that the creation is also created by Christ, sustained by Christ, redeemed by Christ. And therefore our mission, if it's to be holistic gospel mission, can't stop at merely human needs, but has to recognize that human reality is part of created reality. And so there are sections in part 1 and part 2 which affirm this is God's earth, it's his property, it's a gospel issue, belongs to Christ. And if we believe in the lordship of Christ over the whole of creation, then we have to care for it for his sake, for our sake, for the world's sake. So those are elements which I think are in the Cape Town commitment, which were not there in the same way in the previous Lausanne documents, but speak to an issue which is urgent today, but of course has been biblical all the way through.
Well, Chris, we're so thankful for the ministry of the Langham Partnership and for your leadership there, as well as with the Cape Town commitment. And again, where can folks find out about both of those things if they want more information?
Well, the Langham Partnership, we have a website which is just langhampartnership.org, or if you're in the United States, then just johnstott.org will get you through, because it was, of course, founded by John Stott. And he, in a sense, is the grandfather of both Langham and Lausanne, because he was the architect of the Lausanne Covenant, and the Cape Town commitment can be found on the Lausanne website. So you just go to lausanne.org/CT commitment, and it's there and available for people to read. In fact, you can download it for free, print it out, use it, or buy it, but it's there available for people on the Lausanne website.
Well, the Cape Town commitment is something that EEN as an organization has endorsed, and we heartily recommend folks read it. And again, thanks so much for your leadership.
Okay, I'm grateful for that. Thanks. Thanks, Jim.